Welcome back to the Shrando Shiwan character reviews. After a long time with no updates, I will take this spot to talk about one topic I've never touched before here. As you may know, Shrando Shiwan has a mobile version titled Fighting Days. This is mostly a spin-off game with a completely different gameplay but using more or less the same graphics as Shrando Shiwan. But still, the focus of this game is completely different and it evolved to have a life on its own. The game contains some of the Shrando Shiwan characters, but they are not exactly the same as the PC game. Instead, their personalities have been shifted and they came up with different designs that may be or may be not true to the spirit of those characters. For those reasons, we can take this game not as a Shrando Shiwan shoot-off, but as an alternate universe. It also contains completely original characters that don't appear on the PC game. And while this is kind of interesting, and while I haven't had the chance of playing the mobile game, it will be interesting to review the characters and compare them to their original versions, in matters of designs. And remember, this is a game still in progress, so this video will be more like a preview of the full content we will end up having in the game. And I'll probably end up remaking or at least updating with some videos as the new content is released. So you're warned, and here we go. The first thing we shall notice is that every character starts as their original version from Shrando Shiwan, but you can tune them up with different items until you complete one or more sets of alternate costumes. Nonetheless, the first alternate costume is the one promoted in the motion comic videos and all promotional artwork, rather than the one from Shrando Shiwan. Something really important here is that unlike the original game, all the characters here are weapon users and they are given specific weapons that can be upgraded. This is important because the design is adjusted in function of the weapon, so it can be hard to say if the design is working when we take that off the equation. Also, every character has apparently 4 sets of costumes, the one from Shrando Shiwan, the main costume promoted by this game, and 2 more, and for matters of convenience I'm only going to talk about the main costume from Fighting Days, because the 3rd and 4th costumes are a little kind of indescribable. And okay, our first character is Blue, and what a surprise. In my opinion, this is quite an improvement over the original design. Remember I said the original Blue looked like he was a little lacking in the costume department? This one kind of solves that problem. One of my main objections with Blue's design was the sweater, as it looked like it was a little too plain with something lacking in the design. They solved that here with this redesign as his sweater is open instead, providing a nice change on the upper body. He wears a white t-shirt underneath. That's not all, as his jacket has now these stylish folds on the sleeves that also combines terrifically well with those gloves, and a cool lightning insignia too, plus some scarf ribbon or something. The pants were extended and the electronic device on his hips was changed to a more high-tech looking electronic box, which hung less and so he looks slicker. They also tweaked a little Blue's hairstyle to something more edgier and also added some earrings. In fact, this makes him look really badass. So this design looks extremely well, and I gotta say I prefer him to the original one. The question is, how good will he look without the sword? It's really hard to tell. I mean, his style is now more like, I don't know, a MMORPG character or something, and without it, he will probably look like a superhero or something like that. So how good is this redesign in the end? The version of Blue looks really good and they took advantage of some elements of the original design and elevated them to a new level with a shift in the style. I preferred it to the original design indeed. But the main problem is that Blue's original essence is practically gone. These awkward clothes, which were baggier, the hair less flashy and everything, serving in function of his antisocial personality. He didn't want to call much for attention, but this redesign makes him look more like an intrepid hero, which is much more stylish but more generic in personality. But overall, I will still give a good note to this redesign as it impressed me. Second one, we have Brazel, and just like Blue, we have a costume that brings a little more edge to the character. Brazel's jacket looks more like a hoodie and includes metal pads on the shoulders. The t-shirt underneath has grey stripes and the pants are less baggy than the original version. All of it definitely makes him look more like a ready-to-action hero. The hairstyle is also changed a little bit and this time is extra spiky, unlike the longer and more bushier hairstyle from the original. Brazel's weapons are a pair of cloth gloves, kind of cool, but not that great in my opinion. It's not like they fit too much with his original fighting style either. Finally, this version of Brazel has a pendant hanging on his neck, which is, well, not really remarkable. So this version looks sleeker than the original Brazel, and they do a great job designing some specific pieces of costume. I mean, that hoodie looks awesome and like an item you will probably want to buy. But again, Brazel's personality fades a little with this one. I mean, Brazel is supposed to be evil, bloodthirsty and arrogant, not like a good guy hero, which is like what this game makes him look like. I don't know, there are some good elements in this redesign, but I will give the win to the original version in this case. And so next we have Kaoru, and well, Kaoru, I don't have much of a strong opinion on the original design, and this one is like a Neko schoolgirl pretty much. It does look better than the Shuando Shiwan Neko costume at least. Her weapons are psychoball shooting guns, and well, that's it, not much to say about it, and while I do like her miniskirt, I will give the win to the original costume because at least it looks like a little less anime generic. So next. And the next is Seal, and okay, this one took everyone by surprise. Seal was the fifth playable character added, and it literally broke the mold. To start with, this character was never given his original Shuando Shiwang outfit from the beginning. Instead, he is drastically redesigned for his default appearance, which confirms this is pretty much an alternate universe that doesn't give a crap on the canonic version of the character. So this design is really different to the original in appearance, concept, fighting style and everything else. The first you will notice is that the changes extend to everything, even to the character's signature color. Seal was a blue-clad guy in the original game, but here he was given green instead. I guess that was to give a different color to every character from the roster, and as El Blue was obviously the blue guy here, Seal was given the green. And second one, his concept is different. Here Seal is not a musician, instead he's a full-throttle ninja. And if we open up a little, that's really cool. The original game has a serious lack of ninjas. This time his weapon is not a guitar but a pair of knives, and they are not accompanied by ice and blizzard effects but by green leaves burst. His fighting style is consequently completely different, consisting in quick attacks and teleports. It's not the same as the one of the PC game, but it's really kick-ass. And the new outfit is seriously amazing. It looks like a courier ninja onesie, covered by a super big cloak with a scarf, and some leather gear on the lower body, which I really like, and it looks very ninja-ish. And just take a look at that belt with the shuriken and some metal bolts. I mean, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So everything about this Seal, even his stand animation, is really different to the original version, so much he could pass as a different character altogether. In fact, I would be fucking thrilled if he was reworked into the PC version as a different character. With a couple tweaks, but retaining most of his design and concept and fighting style, it will be really good. But curiously enough, the only thing that's sort of similar to the original is, well, apart from his physique, his personality. He is still the introspective, sort of cold guy, but with a little of coolness on him, depicted in some of his mannerisms. And now, I'm going to take a liberty and talk about Seal's second costume in this game. Why? Because this is considerably more similar to his mainstream incarnation, I guess to compensate the drastic change from his default design. The original color is respected in this one, but they add this sort of hoodie trenchcoat with some sky blue on the lapel, but you can see some other details from the original. And now we're going to talk a little about the original characters for this game. This aspect is kind of confusing because the first they did was to add some polls for these characters, which are named something like Master and Secretary. The first one was a voluptuous adult woman, not too different from a meth. In fact, as you can see, Custom C does look like she is a meth, and we knew little from this proposed character other than that she was supposed to be a master of magic or something like that. And honestly, all of these costumes, except for the option E, look really good and nicely done. Sort of skimpy, right, but the character's beauty makes her look elegant in contrast. My favorite would have been the option D, no doubt. And the second one was Secretary, and this poll was supposed to be to select an alternate costume for the announcer for this game. And I mean this little girl. Yeah, an alternate costume for a non-playable character. I mean, what the... But wherever, these all are great designs. My favorite options were B and D. But who knows if we're going to see them in the game one day, because so far it looks like the poll did nothing. The default costume we have on the game is still great in my opinion. I really like it. So these were some polls with designs proposed very early, but it looks like none of them were added to the game, and the next we had was some video featuring a blonde girl with a nice shooting staff, that we didn't see in the game either in the end. What we got instead was Catherine. She fights with magic, so probably this Master of Magic woman we saw in the beginning was a prototype for her or something. So Catherine looks like a magician with a tie, a hat and everything. I like her unicorn themed stuff, but the rest is... I mean, she certainly doesn't look like a fighter, and I don't think she will be that compatible with the PC game. Her fighting style in the game consists mainly on magic tricks, I mean. The design is certainly good, it looks high couture classy, and she looks nice, but I don't have much of an opinion about her.
The secretary character, on the other hand, was replaced with
This girl with a cat hoodie. Even when she features in some of the promo pictures, she is not a playable character, and her design is, well, I think it's pretty good. She has a style and her physique is potentially more fit for fighting, so I can see that. If she had an urban fighting style like Pupa from Rage of the Dragons or perhaps Angel or Mei Li from KOF, I could picture her kicking ass on Shuando Shiwan. But again, she's not even supposed to be playable, so who cares? And finally, our last original character is this guy called Constantine. Okay, this is a really controversial issue because maybe you remember on the original post from Shuando Shiwan there was a design for a character we haven't seen yet. And well, my theory is that this Constantine guy is that he is indeed the character we had in the polls. I mean, similar physique, the same gloves, the hair is very alike, and the stance is not the same because of his weapon, but it seriously looks like him. So I think it's him. And I think he might be the boss for the PC version. I mean, Constantine really sounds like a boss name. Which might take the opposite is the name to begin with, as the one from the post was named Origin or something, and while Constantine is the Western name for this game, the original Chinese names are not the same either, so... Well, still probably Origin was a placeholder name, but who knows. But well, about the design, he's wearing this sort of trench coat and basically outside from the face all his body is covered in leather clothing, with these orange stripes that look really badass in my opinion. And I mean, the design is not different to what we usually see in Shuando Shiwang, and he reminds me much of Jack for example, and the Burial Blue from this game, but the color combination and careful usage of the shapes reminds me of a little of Hell, and he certainly looks infernal in appearance. If you add the dragon logo on his back, these circles that kind of remind us some Japanese family seals, and of course the badass scythe, this is a really good package. I just wonder if there's indeed a PC counterpart in the Shuando Shiwan game for this character, and how will be his design on it. And finally we have Luli, not to be mistaken with Liuli. The idea behind this character is a sort of exorcist that's bonded with the spirit of her dead sister, Lu Ling, which is obviously inspired by Chizuru from KOF, but at least it looks cool in game. I just have nothing to say about this design, it looks just like a bunch of random outfits coupled together with no apparent purpose. So I'm just indifferent to Luli. And well, this is pretty much everything I can say about the designs of fighting games so far. I hope I can bring you more information next time on an update, as it looks like this game's gonna have some update with more characters and such in the future. And for God's sake, you guys from JD Studio, go back to work, I'm starving for more Shuando Shiwang news. Until next time, this is Magek, thanks a lot for watching and goodbye.